What's up? What's up? Give everybody a few minutes to get here. We have a lot to cover today. Tag your friends. Share the video. And let's get ready. Okay. Peace. What's going on, everybody? It's your man, I'm Real Devious, coming to you on another Devious Tuesday. I hope everybody is staying safe, knowing that in a lot of areas, COVID is making a resurgence. So I hope everybody is still taking precaution. I also need to dedicate this show to a woman. I didn't know that she passed. Her son hit me up. He's a friend of mine from high school. Hey, walaikum salam to everybody. The woman that passed, she was a co-worker of mine, and her son and I went to school together. And I didn't know that she passed at the end of last year. And he hit me up today, just to give me words of encouragement, which I thought was amazing. It was just what I needed. And I just want to dedicate this show to her. Her name is Donna C. She worked with the county of Essex for many years, and you know, I want to dedicate this show to her. So tonight, Donna, this show is for you. Hey, what's up once again to everybody. I want to start this show off reading something. I'm going to be reading quite a bit. I have notes. So if you notice, tonight the show is titled We People ... I put a post up recently, and it was a post where it says that Ice Cube, Diddy, Charlemagne have all joined the chorus of people saying that, you know, we shouldn't jump on the Biden bandwagon so easily. And a lot of people jumped on there and were like, well, what are we going to do? Otherwise, it's going to be 4 more years of, you know, this dude, you know, I don't like saying his name, so, but, you know, it's going to be 4 more years of him. So we have to, people posted memes. They were, I don't care if Biden is doing, you know, X, Y, and Z. If he could be fucking the chicken and crossing the road, holding a clown in a chokehold, I'm still going to vote for Biden. I cannot tell you how frustrating that is, for a variety of reasons. But let's just get to it. I'm going to read this, and we'll get into all of that. I must honestly confess that I go through those moments of disappointment when I have to recognize the fact that there aren't enough white persons in our country who are willing to cherish democratic principles over privilege. I'll read it again. I must honestly confess that I go through moments of disappointment when I have to recognize the fact that there aren't enough white persons in our country who are willing to cherish democratic principles over privilege. There are a lot of people who, they used to call them sympathizers, people who are white, but that, you know, they recognize that racism is an illness that affects the whole country. It is a cancer that must be, you know, excised from the conscience of the country. And you know, we have white people who recognize that, but we don't have black people who don't recognize that the system of racism in this country is built into the fabric of the country. It's been said that racism is so American that when we protest racism, we are protesting America. Now, Beyonce said that. And I don't mean to be a star fucker, excuse me. I don't mean to be a star fucker. My point in using celebrities to make my point is that a lot of people only listen to celebrities. I am not one. And because I am not one, the question was posed to me one day. Somebody said, well, why don't you do X, Y, and Z? Why don't you be the person who starts the, be that voice, be that this, be that that? Historically, this is why. Historically, that is not how things work. You do not take a middle-aged man from anywhere and appoint him the head of anything. That is how things fall apart. Because that is a person who is already in his ego, and he already has a mindset less malleable to the situation. He already has a mindset that is in one direction. He already has an agenda. Historically, if we look back, kings and queens, and I'm not saying this is right, I'm just saying it's historic. And we should pay attention to history because it'll teach you what to do and what not to do. So we can learn either way. But what I'm saying is this: historically, rulers of countries have been children. Kings and queens have been teenagers. Of course, there have been middle-aged men and advisors around them to help and guide them through, all of the processes and things that they have to learn in order to assume office in its full capacity. However, historically, it has been children. I say that to say that there are many people who are Christians, and I'm going to be talking a little bit more to Christian people. I like y'all. Y'all are fun. So Christian, I just lost my train of thought. It was the Christian people. Oh, in the book, it says, "And a little child shall lead them," doesn't it? And yet we keep looking for a leader. Now, my point in saying all this is that the post that I put up, again, it spoke to the fact that we need not look to Biden, this Biden man, so easily. We need not look to him so easily just because he is the opposite, allegedly, of Donald Trump. Here's what I have to say to that. Why do we keep taking what people give us? Why do we keep accepting the things that they put before us? Why do we keep taking the choices that they hand us? And then we complain about them. We can't complain about something if we keep accepting what they give us. This man, I'm telling you, listen, and I don't know, because I'm not about to do a whole bunch of research to find out his ills. I really don't care. What I do know is this: racism is so ingrained in the fabric of this country that any man who has not lived this experience is not going to be making choices in our best interest. Period. That's a thing. And we need not be under. Didn't the other runners drop off? Somebody just asked me, did the other runners drop off? I don't know. Here's what I do know. Here's my question to you all. And I pose a lot of questions. Whether you answer them or not, answer them for yourselves. I want you to think about these things. This is not for me to make a point, because this is not about what I believe. This is to get conversation started, and this is to get ideas flowing. Okay? So I am playing devil's advocate. Yes, I am. I am pointing out ideas and absurdities and things like that. Some of it's satire. I'm facetious as fuck. But let's go. Let's talk to our African Americans. Are there any African Americans here? If you are an African American, you identify as an African American, hit the pocket. Go over there and hit the like symbol. Just keep hitting it, so that I can know that who's there, and we'll find out who identifies as African American or anything like that. If you do identify as African American, I have a question for you. What's the flag of Africa? I know that there is like the African nationalist flag. Africa is not a nation, Africa is a continent. There are many nations in Africa. Which one did we come from? Which one did you come from? You might come from a different one than I came from. These ideas, these labels, and if you are a person who has watched my show, you've heard me say this before. How they label you is how they are going to divide you. African American is not a thing. It is further to displace you or give you an idea that you belong to something that you may or may not belong to. And however you belong to that place, it is not that ambiguously. It really isn't. And it's worth doing some research. But because we were taken and displaced ad infinitum and pushed so far away from our history, which is on purpose, to make sure that we don't know our nations, to make sure that we can't inherit what we're supposed to inherit rightfully. They continue to disengage us from that. They continue to disengage us by planting ideas in our head about things that aren't necessarily true. But as far as racism in this country is concerned, it is something, and even black people, even people of color, any people of color, it's so ingrained in us as well. I was watching, now I've been binge watching documentaries. Anybody who knows me knows that that's my thing. I love to watch, I love to learn. Binge watching documentaries on the Black Panthers, Emmett Till, just because there's so much happening. And my thing, the feeling that I got watching all of these documentaries all weekend is that we've been here before. Not just as a people, but as a nation, as a world. We have been here before. And when I put up the post about why must we accept Biden again, because, why must we accept the person that the hierarchy is putting in front of us, and people are like, oh, well, we have to take him. Why do we have to take him? Why can't we come up with our own? I constantly see posts where people go, this young kid was admitted to this prestigious university at the age of, let's say, 14 and graduated and is on to her doctorate or received her doctorate. Young woman of color received her doctorate at the age of 17. She's the youngest ever to do it from this Ivy League school. And we have these brilliant minds, and yet we don't cultivate them to leadership. How is it that we continue to ask for something and yet we have no leadership? We don't cultivate these kids to do these things. We don't cultivate leaders in our community. And the reason that we don't cultivate leaders, unfortunately, in our community is because the history in our community is that if you are a leader, you are going to be killed. That is another thing I ascertained from watching these documentaries all weekend. The Black Panther Party, you can go all the way Martin Luther King, you can go Malcolm X. Any black leader, if they weren't killed, they were jailed. If they weren't killed and they weren't jailed, their reputations were destroyed. Or sometimes it was all three. Their reputations were destroyed. They were thrown in jail. And some of them are in exile to this day. Some of the Black Panthers are still in exile in countries in Africa to this day. For that reason, they know if you are a leader in the black community, you are going to die. Now, a friend of mine posted something. It was so funny. I was sitting there preparing for the show, and I was, just flipping through social media, and I came across this post a friend of mine posted. The cost of liberty is less than the price of oppression. The fight that I see today in the streets of every major city across this country is the same fight that was being fought 50, 60 years ago in the civil rights movement. A misnomer for many reasons. It is the fight that was being fought all the way. Yeah, you can go back as far. You can do that research. It is the same fight. It is the same fight. And for those of you who have children, please know that if you do not get this right this time, your children are going to have to fight this fight again. So you can pick the people who are handed to you, or we can cultivate leaders in our community that are going to take us to where we deserve to be. That requires courage. And I'm sorry, I'm asking a lot of y'all. I'm asking a whole lot of y'all. And I keep saying this, like, I feel like it's like it is a repetitive thing, because I want everybody to understand that all of the protesting, all of the marching, they're going to give us crumbs here. They're going to give us crumbs there. Yeah, we're going to ban the police chokehold in this city. How about less? I am not necessarily for disbanding the police force. What I am for, however, is eradicating everybody, or getting rid of everybody who is there now, after we create a whole new curriculum of training police officers for the community to deal with communities of color, or to deal with the community at large. And then hiring new people and training them based on this new criteria. Am I for letting this person who's in office now go for another 4 years? No. But neither am I for allowing somebody to come into office who is friends with a woman right now who is under house arrest, has an ankle monitor on, is being ahead regarding emails for a pedophile ring. We need to pay attention to these things. Like, y'all say that y'all got children and y'all are worried about what your children are going to go through, but what world are you leaving them? What world are you leaving them? You want to vote for somebody who's friends with the pedophile, but you will crucify R. Kelly and Bill Cosby publicly. But you want to uphold this man and put him into office knowing that he is friends with these people. I'm not getting to, you can, this is in the, this is actual court records, everything. We have to change our thinking. The reason that it's so difficult for us to comprehend that level of change in our society is because nobody wants us to comprehend that level of change in our society. This society is designed, and all the information that we intake, most of the information that we intake, is designed to keep you in that thought process that you can only work with what you are given. From this group of people, though. Because they are the right ones. They are the white ones. They are the... And let me say this. I want to make a differentiation here. Because there are white people, period. And then there are racists, right? But just because you are not a white racist does not mean that you do not benefit from white privilege. And that is what needs to change. The privilege should not be based on this. Is that too hard for us to understand? Have we been so programmed to believe that we are less than, that we still need to believe that we need to put a white man back into the White House, that we can't choose for ourselves? And I'm not talking about, and listen to what I'm saying, and listen to my words very carefully, because I was on, conversing with somebody over the post that I'm talking about earlier, and the person misconstrued what I was saying so oddly. She kept saying, so you keep saying don't vote. I didn't say that. I never said don't vote. What I said was, why do we have to accept the candidates that they give us? Because a lot of us can't think beyond the fact that unless there's a candidate that they give us, there's nobody else. Oh my God, there's nobody else to vote for. Why? To run for president, you just need to be 35 years old, a legal citizen of the United States. I think there's a couple of more criteria. I don't know offhand. You can Google it, but it's really not that difficult. It is really not that difficult. So we don't have to accept what they give us. We can make up our minds for ourselves. Or do we have any left? And what kills me is this. It's usually the people who consider themselves scholarly. And I'm trying to wonder, how fearful are you? And it scares me that you have children. Because if you have children and you exhibit this level of cowardice in trying to change your society for your kids, you need to have more conversations. You really need to have more conversations. That level of cowardice when you have children is unacceptable. Why are you still passing on your fear to your kids? People thought, and I know people are like, what is he talking about? When I posted last week about we need to rewrite the Constitution because the Constitution that we have in this country since we are here is not inclusive of us. It never has been. It was never intended to be. We are working within a society that was never intended to include us. So how are you asking people for more inside the society? It's like being in a hamster cage and going, I'm free. I'm going to make the best of this right here. And we are too afraid to get our hands dirty. We are too afraid. And that's the part that kills me is how fearful we are. We've been taught to be that fearful. We've been taught to be that fearful. That type of fear isn't natural. Why are we fearing something that is going to naturally happen to us? They have you fearing death. Listen, I have news for you. That's going to happen. Why am I talking about this right now? Listen, if you want to make a better world for your kids, there are some now. Like I said, I'm a middle-aged man. I am not leading shit. But if somebody needs to go out there and make sure that the kids are okay, you can count me in. If somebody need to go make sure the baby's all right, you can count me the fuck in. Because they shouldn't have to do this again because we dropped the ball one more time because we were fearful to take it all the way. Why are we running the ball halfway down the field again? We get to the 50-yard line and we fumble. It was internal egos, basically. It was basically an ego thing that broke up the Black Panthers. And I keep bringing up the Black Panthers because it was a political party, one. And two, because they had the best ideology that I can recall in recent history for reforming the whole black community. They started with the law. Working within the framework of what you have. If they can do it, we can do it. They showed up at the California legislature with sawed-off shotguns because California law says as long as you are a law-abiding citizen, whatever the statute is, as long as they met it, you can openly carry as long as it wasn't concealed. They showed up to the California legislature because we don't want to do this the fuck again. Our children are depending on us to change the world. We don't want to do this again. All the fighting, all the marching, how do you ask for something from another man that you should have? How do you do that? This is not a time for asking. Not if you have, and I keep talking to the people who have kids, because listen, and it is just, all of this is just shit that be on my mind sometimes, Know what I mean? Thank y'all for tuning in. I love y'all. It's, it could be one of y'all. It's me and you. We gonna have a conversation. But my legacy is different from a lot of yours. This will be my legacy. Giving as much information to as many people as I possibly can. This is how I try to do better for the world. I have conditions and prescriptions and things. So I am not the rah-rah every day, go out. That is not what I do. I'm good at this, I believe. So this is what I will do to make sure, and if I need to go out there, like I said, to make sure the kid's okay, we'll go out there to make sure the kid's okay. But we need not do this again. That's the one part I'm trying to get people to understand is if you don't ask for it right now, in 50 years, your kids will have to do this again. I'm sitting there watching all these documentaries and the words that these people are saying are the exact words. Like you could take that documentary and play it today and people wouldn't even, and you colorize it the right way. Listen, it's the Black Lives Matter movement. Pumping the fist and everything. It's the same thing. We gonna do it again? Are we going to do it again? The things that we watch, the things that we tune into, the sensationalism, They know where we go. They know where we go for information. And it is the governments, it is the churches, it is the corporations that we buy from. All of them know how to tweak our emotions, how to get us to how to tune into our fear, how to tune into, look at how the lines were when we were quarantined for toilet paper and paper towels and Lysol and disinfectant. They know how to tune in, how to tweak our emotions so that we are fearful. They know how to keep us on the edge of fear so that we are constantly unfocused on the larger point. The larger point, the larger point, the larger point is that the white minority in this country, because they are the minority, the white racist minority that hold power, do not want to give up that power. It's that simple. It's simply that. It is fear. It is fear that they will not have enough when there's more than enough for everybody. And until they relinquish that, until we demand what is rightfully ours, that is not going to change. There was something else. In the equation of race, another metaphor for race beckons. Whiteness is the unchanging variable. Or, to shift metaphors, whiteness has been, to pinch a Mary Baraka's resonant phrase, a highly adaptable and fluid force that stays on top no matter where it lands. We're talking about whiteness. In a sense, whiteness is at once the means of dominance, the end to which dominance points, and the point of dominance, to which, in its purest form, it is its greatest fantasy. I'm sorry, let me read that again. In its purest form, in its greatest fantasy, never ends. That is what we have to battle. That is where the battle lies. The battle is not in the streets. The battle is not in conversations amongst people of color, because we know what the problem is. There's no more fucking conversations to be had amongst us. We know what we need. We need y'all to stop acting like it belongs to you so that everybody can prosper, so that we can live amongst each other, should we choose to. It's interesting to me how we allow the twisting of information and we don't pay attention to it at all. We allow our paradigms to be shifted very, very quickly. It doesn't take much for somebody to say, they throw out a key phrase and all of a sudden, here we are, panicked and doing something that we wouldn't have done. A year ago, this time, if somebody walked past you with a mask on over their face, and you couldn't discern why, you would have freaked out. What are they doing? And here we are, a year later, if somebody doesn't walk past you with a mask on, you're moving away. It's an emotional paradigm shift that it's a beautiful thing in human beings, our adaptability. We can adapt very easily, and we don't give ourselves enough credit for that. And because we have that adaptability, the change that is necessary to take place in this country right now to get it to where it needs to be will not be as painful if we use that adaptability. We are that resilient. We need to be that resilient. We need to continue to be that resilient, because the change that is necessary and inevitable requires that. Black neighborhoods, when you say the word black neighborhood, you think predominantly black neighborhood, 90-something% and above, or 80% and above black neighborhoods. In the 1920s, a black neighborhood was 10% black. If there were 10% of black people in a neighborhood, it was considered a black neighborhood. Fast forward to a century later, it's the opposite. Be mindful of the information that you intake. Some of it is simply put out there to make you see a point of view. The point of view that we need to be looking at right now is not what candidates they put in front of us, because that is the issue that is put there to obfuscate what we really need to be looking at, which is race in this country has reached a boiling point. Race matters. Race issues. Race relations. The way we interact with other motherfuckers has reached a boiling point. And many people from the 1950s to now, it has been an undercurrent of racial revolution. And I'm not saying that that revolution has to be a bloody street battle. I don't think it should be. I don't think it's necessary to have a bloody street battle. I'm saying we should prepare for one. But I'm also saying that it is necessary to do now so that your children will not have to repeat this mistake. What is that mistake? Waiting. For those of you who saw the post that I posted earlier and were wondering what I meant by wait, and were saying, why should we wait? What are we waiting on? The election is in November. Please expand your paradigm. We are the ones in control. I want y'all to walk with me on a conversation I was having earlier with my cousin. And we just came through, for the most part, and they're probably going to re-enter some part of quarantine because there's a resurgence in COVID-19 numbers. So we have to monitor that as a world society, as a world clique. Thank you, D-Light. And we have to monitor that as a world clique and see where we are going to be. In monitoring that, I just lost my train of thought. I'm not even going to sit here and try to find it. In monitoring this resurgence of the COVID and everything like that, and what we have to do, I have to look at that because I keep missing that thing. The Xism. So if I lose my train of thought, somebody type Xism. And this is why we have to do this. Because we did not respond appropriately the first time to the pandemic, to the virus situation, we did not get it all out. So now we have a resurgence of people who are coming up positive, and the numbers are bigger than we thought. I was talking to a first responder. Hold on, that was the other thing that thank you. And thank you, brother. I was talking to a first responder earlier, and they said that the numbers are a lot huger. The numbers are bigger than we could have imagined. There are facilities that are dedicated testing sites, that there are more of them now, and whole rehabilitation centers that are designated to just people who have the COVID-19 virus. We didn't get it all out. We were too anxious. We didn't wait. We were in quarantine and we could not wait. So now you have people protesting in the streets because they want to open back up the world, and they're out there with their masks. You have people who are saying it's a conspiracy theory. Whatever you think, that's fine. Here's the thing that's happening though. The numbers are going back up because we couldn't wait. I want to talk about your power. Okay? That was the point that I was trying to get to. Your power. In this quarantine, we had something that we had a new term that we'd never heard before. Brand new. Essential worker. Those are the people who go to work regardless. They have to risk their lives to service everybody else, to make sure that the country still runs, to make sure that society doesn't come to a grinding halt because people are starving and can't get food, because people can't get gas, because people can't get utilities and things like that, right? Those are essential workers, people who, what you have to shop for and eat and, food workers and everything like that, the essential workers. We came up with that term. Do you know what they used to call them a couple of hundred years ago? They used to call those slaves. And I'm not trying to denigrate essential workers. I'm trying to get you to follow a train of thought. They used to call people who were essential, not that type of essential. Yeah, they were essential to industry. They used to call that type of essential people who worked 7 days a week, who worked for 16, 17 hours a day in the hot blazing sun, who serviced everybody else in the house. They used to call them slaves. And now we have essential workers. See the paradigm shift? See how that go? All you got to do is use words. When you know the right words, you get people to do what you want. 4 more years. Oh God, we have to get somebody else in there. Well, there's 2 people, and it's either him or him. It's the lesser of the 2 evils. No, there's 7+ billion people on the planet. We can pick from some of them. In this country alone, there are over 330 million. Why can't we pick from some of them? Why do we have to pick what we're given? On plantations, they treated some of the plantations owners treated their slaves really, really well. They would eat dinner, and whatever was left over, they would send it out to the slaves. Here, you can have what we didn't eat. And that's what they're doing now. This is what we're going to give you to work with. It's not what you want. But this is all we're going to allow you to have. Until people like Harriet Tubman said no. That's not all I'm worth. How much are your kids worth? See, here's the answer to the question. There was a woman, and I hope she watches this, Miss Latito, who asked me, she said, well, I don't understand what you mean by weight. So here's my explanation again. I did take my time and write it out, but I'm going to say it. Wait as long as you need for black kids to die in the streets some more. As long as you need to for more videos of policemen choking men out in the street on camera with their hands in their pockets. Wait that long. Because even in the time since George Floyd died, there's been more. So wait that long. When I say wait, that's what I mean wait. I mean we can't wait. Because these babies are still dying. In the meantime. So if you want to wait that long. If you need a time frame to wait, if you want to know what I mean by wait until some more people die. Wait until it's one of your kids or grandkids out in the street being choked by an officer with his hands in his pockets. Wait until they roll a car over his neck with the back tire and leave it there and park. Since you want to wait. Time for waiting is over. I don't know what else to tell you. The time for waiting is over. There's no time to wait. Listen, this is my idea. Fuck that election. We have more power when we come together than we can imagine. We are powerful if we stick together. And I think that's the part that they know and we know, which frightens us, is that our unity is only beginning to bud again at this moment in history. So it doesn't feel as cohesive as it needs to, and that's fearful. People think that if we don't take some action, we are going to lose the major action, and that is not how it works. You continue to let people spoon feed you, you'll eventually get full. But will you get what you want? Will you get what you need? No, you ain't gonna get none of that. You ain't gonna get none of that. You're gonna get what the fuck they give you. I'm sorry. I wanted to do this without cussing, but I can't do it without cussing. I can't. Cause it's how is it that we so blatantly deny racism even as black people? Like we just tolerate, we eat it. Like it's part of our daily diet. We see people get choked in the street, and I'm not talking about the fact that, you know, I'm not negating the fact, rather, that there are protests and everything like that. Listen, what I'm saying is this. We have to specify our fucking agenda. It is not to just get police to stop choking people out in the street. If we are that small-minded, then we deserve what the fuck we get. If that's all we want, if all it is just so that the police will stop choking us, we deserve what we get. Now is the time to ask for what we really want. We do not want, I'm not going to start with a negative statement. That's why I paused. What we want is to change the hearts and minds of society. What we want is for the people sitting next to the people who are racist to say, we're not tolerating that as a country anymore, it's over. What we want is for black people to be able to relax going down any street at any time for any fucking reason. What we want is for them to be able to buy a house in any neighborhood that they want to. What we want is for them to be able to walk into any bank and be treated the same as their white counterparts. What we want is to change hearts and minds. What we want is for people to be more courageous in the things that they do so that these changes are possible and don't take as long as they fucking have. What we want is for the next generation to not have to repeat these mistakes. We can move our egos out of the way. We can move our fear out of the way. And we can progress. I want to ask y'all this question, and then, because I don't know how long I've been jabbering on. Excuse me 1 second. Oh, yeah, I should be wrapping up now. I want to leave y'all with this. Well, a few things, actually. Just some things that came up with, yada. If you've never seen Birth of a Nation, check out Birth of a Nation. It's fascinating. All the black people are done by white people in blackface. And this was screened at the White House in the 1920s. Was it the night? No, I'm sorry. I forget the year. I don't have the year. But when it did come out, it was screened at the White House with the president. I was watching another documentary, and the man posed a scenario. I wish y'all could check this out because it was something that I hadn't thought of. Which one is more devastating to your life? Because, you know, the Karens of the world like to clutch their purses when, you know, a black man or a black woman walk by. You know, there's all the doors locked when we walk past cars on the street and all those manner of things. Okay. There are some young people, some old people who snatch purses and things of that. Granted. And they have color. Boom. Which one is more devastating to your life? Somebody hitting you upside the head and taking your wallet or your purse, or somebody draining your 401k? It's interesting how we allow our paradigms to be shifted. So we the people who have not been treated fairly in this country, we the people who have not gotten our inheritance in this country, and we the people who deserve reparations, but we keep paying our reparations with repression. Even if they did pay us reparations, the repression, because we repress all this shit, we accept it, we eat it, we don't move like we need to move. It is now time to make those people accountable. Everybody has to be accountable. If we are not holding people accountable, what is it all for? Your children are going to repeat this. Listen, I don't have kids. But I would like to see the kids enjoy a better society. Everything in this country is rigged against the avoiding taking or talking about the real issues, and our leaders are publicly executed so that we will never have one. We cannot let that stop us. Yeah. We have to take charge of our paradigms. We have to take charge of the information that we take in, so that we are taking in information that is moving us in the direction that we need to go. To all the people who, and I was watching Dave Chappelle's special on YouTube, I believe. Yeah, YouTube, where he talks about George Floyd. And what he said, I couldn't have said it better. He said, I didn't need to say that. And these young people out here doing their thing, but they need guidance. We need to make sure that the agenda, that what it is that we need to, our agenda is being pushed forward. And all of this energy that we are expending is not for nothing. It is not to end up back in the same place that we were in the 60s and 70s. It cannot all be for naught. The one thing that the Black Panthers and the Civil Rights Movement and the Nation of Islam did not have, that we have today, is mass media. You don't have to be a part of an organization to get your voice out there. You don't have to be a part of some political movement to make sure that the people who are in power don't get back in power. How many of these Karens and Kevins have gotten fired from their jobs simply because the internet chimed in? Let your voice be heard. This is not the time to be silent. It is not the time for people of color. You shouldn't have to do nothing. We shouldn't have to do shit. I'm trying to be nice. Y'all know what y'all doing. And it is now time for you to be accountable. We have to change. We have to get rid of racism. I don't know how to do that in an exact way. I do know it doesn't. One thing that we need to do is not allow people to dictate the way that we move forward when they are not a part of our community. That is the most foolish thing I think we can do. Okay? So, there was one more thing that I wanted to read. I started off this segment with this quote, and I'll read it again for anyone who came in later. The quote is, "I must honestly confess that I go through those moments of disappointment when I have to recognize the fact that there aren't enough white persons in our country who are willing to cherish democratic principles over privilege. The rest of that quote is, but I'm grateful to God that some are left. That's Dr. King. Lastly, I just, again, all this is just thoughts. Just thoughts. If any of you know anybody with cancer, and this was a part of a conversation I had earlier, again, with my cousin. We were talking about just this, and he said something, and it just made so much sense to me. He said, when the doctor goes in to get cancer, be it benign, it could be benign, but they go in to get it all out, right? They don't just leave a little bit for later, right? We have a legacy of leaving a little bit of cancer in this country. That cancer is obviously racism. We have to get it all out right now. It is not benign. It's truly malignant. And it will tear this country apart. It really, really will. If you don't believe me, go on Instagram. There's an Instagram account called Karen's Gone Wild. It's where a bunch of racist white women and men are caught on video doing their thing, being themselves. Until we hold them accountable more. Until we hold them completely, until we hold this entire country accountable. Nothing's going to change. They're going to throw some crumbs at us. We're going to go, thank you, master. And we're going to go back out in the field and pick some more cotton. So, I really want you guys to think about all that. If you disagree with me, that's fine. Say so. I welcome any criticisms. If you have other information that you would like to share with me, I welcome that too. You can send all information right here on Facebook, or you can email me at imrealdevious@gmail.com. or on Instagram at imrealdevious on Instagram, and Twitter at imrealdevious on Twitter. So I'm Real Devious, and I'm about to get out of here. I want to thank all you guys for watching. I love you for it. I really, really do appreciate it, and I hope that you got something out of it, and at the very least, I hope that you start some conversations about what direction it is that you would like to see this country move forward for the sake of your children, because that is really what it is all about. They are we the people that many of us are leaving out of this equation. The children are the people. So what are you going to leave them? Parents? You weird thing. Last thing, I promise. Many of us have grown up with the images of Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny, and some of us have even perpetuated those images. You will pass that on to your kids, but you will not pass on a better society. You will not pass on a society where they are not harassed at every point in turn. We take it comfortably. That we, not necessarily comfortably like, it's a wonderful thing, but comfortably like we understand that it's something that we have to do, and we have to talk to our children about how they have to encounter police officers. We do all that. We figure out every way it is to try and fit into this society when it is society that should be fitting around us. And it's time for that. So again, if you disagree with what I'm saying, that's fine. You can let me know. I'm always here. I'm always open to learn and hear some new ideas, because that's what this is about. And that's the last thing. I'm so glad I said that. For you guys who have beliefs, okay, that's fine. But I would charge you to exchange some of your beliefs for ideas. Why? Chris Rock said it in this movie. I forget the name of the movie. But in the movie he said, an idea is easier to change. Beliefs are trickier. People die for their beliefs. And that's what all of this stuff is about. People who are racist believe that they have the right to kill us, to treat us this way. And we have to change that. Are we not ready to change that? Or are we going to continue to let them believe that? But the change begins with us. We have to change our beliefs. Dismiss them. Challenge them even. So that we can come up with new ideas. How to deal with this society. And change the society and create the one that we deserve to live in. So as you walk on your road of life, if you should happen to stumble, trip and fall, remember that the harder you fall, the higher you bounce. Remember that when you tripping. I'm Real Devious. I'm going to get out of here. I thank you so much for watching. So